Self-talk without real work is just a lie.
Yeah.
So my self-talk is me reminiscing back on the struggle to get to this moment. What changed me was I had to be hard on myself.
Yep.
And I have to continue to grind myself into a fine dust. No matter how far you get in life, you have to be able to go back to scratch in your mind at a moment's notice.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 to 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 to 9. This one's for my top 10.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Belief Nation.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something. So get ready to want it bad enough, change your self-talk, and find your motivation with David Goggins and my take on his top 10 rules of success to give you the confidence, motivation, and belief that you need. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Want it bad enough.
Anybody, not just Navy SEALs, but anybody that can accomplish anything that is hard. The only separator is that they really want to be there. There's some people that get inspired, and that inspiration moves them to try to do something. But the inspiration is very high right now in this nice environment. We're in a nice environment. The ocean's out there. I'm talking to you. If I want to go to the refrigerator and get something to drink, eat, I can. I watch a movie about some badasses, you're inspired. But the second you're not in this environment and you're actually doing what inspired you, that suck factor is now real. You can't just get off your couch and get a shake or get a box of donuts or turn the TV or go take a shit or a piss or go get your girlfriend to cuddle up. No, you're now there. And only those people who have been there 1,000,000 times in their minds and have lived in that water and have suffered 1,000,000 times and realize my legs may break, my knee may break, my bones will hurt. I will be the coldest I've been in my life. I will be miserable. And accept that. Because what happens is when you get in a horrible situation in life, your mind, I call it my 1-second decision. When you get in a horrible situation in life, your mind immediately says, get the out of here. Everybody's does, even if you want to be there. But it starts to have all these different questions in your mind in that 1 second. And it says, okay, why are you here? Why are you doing this? Why this? Why that? And then you start to say to yourself, if you don't want to be there that bad, I have a beautiful wife at home, man. Why the am I doing this, man? Like, this is stupid. This is gonna get these guys injured. Like they're gonna pay for this for the rest of their lives. I'm not gonna break my body up to do this. Your mind starts to say, yeah, this is stupid. But if you are already knowing that this is gonna happen to you, you have all the answers to these questions that your mind starts to give you when you're in suffer mode.
Rule number 2, change your self-talk.
Let's say for shits and giggles, I'm training for a 100-mile race.
Yeah.
Let's say a 200.
Just for shits and giggles, I'm training for a 100-mile race.
Right.
Okay, good.
So let's say I'm training for a 100-mile race, and I get to mile 50.
Yeah.
And I feel like shit. And like everybody else, my mind gets soft. Why? Because I'm human.
Yep.
I'm not some damn, hybrid creature that was formed from the heavens above. No, not. Human. I suffer. I don't like it. I'm uncomfortable. I don't like it.
Yep.
So my mind starts to get weak. And we start to forget about how badass we are. I call that the cookie jar, but it's not about the cookie jar right now.
Yeah.
This is about self-talk.
Yeah.
But the cookie jar kind of goes to self-talk too.
Yeah.
It's a piece of it. So basically what I do here is you have to make sure that your mind doesn't become spastic. When it's suffering, when it's in pain, all it wants to do is find the easy way out, which is usually quit. If you quit, the pain goes away immediately.
Yeah.
You gotta give yourself enough energy and fuel in your mind to stay just a little bit longer so you can talk yourself into staying for the whole thing.
Yep.
And this is how it works. Most of us never start anything cold. If you're gonna go to college, you gotta study your ass off. If you want to run a 100-mile race, a marathon, if you want to go be Mr. Olympia, if you want to go be a scientist, a doctor.
Be one of the best salespeople on the planet.
You
Be an
gotta
entrepreneur.
work.
You got to work.
But this is
and
what
you got
we
to
do.
build. You got to build up to that.
But what happens is, in that moment when we need self-talk, when we're failing and we're in our worst spot possible, we forget the back end.
Yeah.
Oh, my fault, the front end. All the build up to where we're at today. We forget how much work we put in. So for me, I'm at mile 50.
Say that one more time. Say that more. So I'm in the middle of it.
Right.
I'm making my calls. I hate it. You're at mile 50.
That's right.
You hate it. Your mind's getting, wiggly on you.
I just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
We forget that we put years.
Yeah.
Years, maybe not into making these dials, but to getting where you're at today.
To become this person.
To become this person, to be in a position to make this money or whatever the f you want to make, whatever you want to do in your life.
Yeah.
We forget that. We forget that journey on what it took for us to get in this moment to make the right decision.
Yeah.
So that's my self-talk is this. Okay, I want to get the f out of here, man. I'm done. Then I remember this. You ran 2,000 miles training to be in this moment right now. We forget that.
Yep.
We forget the 3 o'clock in the morning runs or getting up early for work or whatever you're doing. We forget all that. In that moment of suffering, I remind myself,
Yeah.
I only have 50 more miles. I put in 6 months of training.
You did 67,000 pull-ups.
67,000 pull-ups, that's right.
4,030, right?
Exactly.
Like, this is no big deal.
We forget all of that.
Yeah.
So what I do, my self-talk is basically going back down memory lane.
Yeah.
Of all those f***ed up days, I ran the rain, or I had to study real late at night, and I didn't want to do it, but I did it to get here.
Yeah. That's the hook.
That is the hook.
That's the hook.
I wanted to get here.
Yeah.
Now you're here, and now you want to quit?
Yeah.
So you got to be mindful, but this thing about it, if you haven't put in any hard work to reflect on, you're f***ed.
Yeah.
So there is no self.
Because you got nothing to pull back on.
It's just a lie.
Nothing to say, hey, you've done this before.
That's right.
Or you've done something like this before.
Right. All this like people want to be all positive, all this positive talk, it doesn't work if it's a lie. Like if you didn't study for your big exam and you go into it saying, I'm going to pass it.
Yep.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're going to fail it.
Yeah.
That self-talk is not going to work. Self-talk without real work is just a lie.
Yeah.
So my self-talk is me reminiscing back on the struggle to get to this moment. Yeah. And that tells me we're not quitting today.
Yeah.
Not today.
Rule number 3, find your motivation.
For several years, I gave myself a way out.
When you were 300
When I was,
pounds?
when I was 300 pounds, when I was, all the way up until I was 24 years old, I would climb a mountain, I'd fall back down. I start climbing, I fall back down for the first 24 years of my life. I went to my first Hell Week, my second Hell Week, and then my third Hell Week came in SEAL training, and the CEO, Captain Bowen, looked at me. I'm on crutches, I'm all jacked up. He says, hey, this is your last time you're gonna go through buds. This is it. I had several stress fractures. I had double pneumonia, I was jacked up, and he gave me a few months to heal. And he said, this is your last time going through. I shouldn't even let you go back through.
Wow.
I started Navy SEAL training with stress fractures. Stress fractures,
That's
not
hard to finish.
splints.
That's hard to finish.
Stress fractures. Starting the hardest training, arguably the hardest training in the world with stress fractures. And this is when I started to not put a cap on the body if the mind is there. Every morning I would wake up at 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, go to my dive cage, go in there before anybody saw me. I'd get duct tape, and I would tape from my forefoot all the way up to the mid of my calf, and I would put 2 black socks on. And so I ran not using the pivot.
Oh my gosh.
And I ran my hip flexors. So for the first 45 minutes to an hour, I was in absolute excruciating pain. But what motivated me through that whole process was the fact that this kid came from that. I'm in the hardest training in the world, in the worst shape of my entire life. What if I can graduate amongst these studs?
Wow.
All these guys around me are studs. They're stallions. They're gladiators in my class. They're all healthy. Most of them. They're not broken like this. They may have some, everybody's sick going through that training.
Yeah.
But if I can graduate it would change everything for me. If I can start the hardest training in the world, broken, and graduate. So my mind fed off of that. You are now, from the weakest man, you are now the hardest man to ever live. If you can do this. If you can do this. Life is one big mind game.
Yeah.
And you're playing it with yourself. Is it true? I don't care. It got me through the hardest training, starting out broken. Where most people quit, I had just started.
Wow.
And when you take that mindset and you learn to flip that around, that's what made me powerful. And my body followed. And 3 months later, my stress fractures were healed by running on them.
Rule number 4, always do your best.
Do you like suffering or do you just deal with suffering? Real answer.
Real answer?
Yeah.
I like to see, real answer, I like to get a bunch of men together.
Okay.
Men that are the hardest of the hard. And I want to be with these men. And I want to see them suffer. Because I'm suffering right along with you, but I want to see me get through it. I want to see what you're made of. I want to see, like, almost like the Colosseum in Rome. Let's go to the Colosseum. And the only way to see who the baddest is to suffer. You can't do it by writing a paper. So let's go. Because why? What I found out through my life was I thought of myself as some weak little kid. And what I found out, and the only message I want to get across to people is once you change one thing, your mindset, you can attack everything. And I find it fascinating. I'm fascinated because I'll be in these moments. I put these guys on some pedestal.
Yeah. Which people do with you.
They do with me, and they shouldn't. And I was this guy who was a piece of shit looking at these, oh my God, how are you guys this amazing? But once I worked my way up there, I said, my God, man, we can all compete. Let's go. So do I like suffering? I like suffering in the way that is competitive, that brings out the absolute best in me and in everybody else. So like I want to see a man be defeated. I want to see a man get broken and say, F you. I love these men. These men I love, but there's very few of them. There's very few of them. And there's very few that are willing to go there more than once.
Also, if you want to have more confidence and self-love, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
You will never learn from people if we always tap dance around the truth. Everything I didn't want to do is what got me to where I'm at today. It's about what you're saying to yourself, but it also comes with work. So whenever I was getting beat down, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever I was going through, just saying, I would put, you can't hurt me.
Rule number 5, be your own hero.
I get a lot of questions, people asking me for help. So I asked them, what have you done to help yourself? Most of them say, I've been working hard. I'm all about being your own hero, but I'm not about kissing your ass. In life, a lot of us believe that we're working much harder than we actually are. We think if we got up early for 4 days, we've earned something. You gotta drop your entitled mindset. It's dead weight. We believe we work harder than we actually have. Trust me, most of us haven't. The one thing in life you gotta realize is this. Learn to help yourself. Don't count on other people to help you.
Rule number 6, reprogram your mind.
For instance, in Hell Week, they said when you get to Wednesday of Hell Week, you're broken. So everybody on Wednesday.
But give them context. You're talking 72 hours without sleep.
You're talking about 130 hours of training.
Yeah.
It starts on Sunday, ends on Friday, and on Wednesday, you're almost done. You're halfway through.
Yeah.
So everybody on Wednesday, they hear this. Because everybody says Wednesday is like, man, you're so tired, you're done. So that becomes your new norm.
Yeah.
No.
You're cruising into Wednesday getting
right.
ready to feel tired when you don't even know why.
Because someone told you could feel tired.
Bingo.
So for me, I was like, hang on a second. I started studying my mind a whole bunch while growing up, facing these things. Don't listen to anybody's dialogue but your own. They're tired. They're not you.
Yeah.
So it's just all about, it's just, your mind has a tactical advantage over you at all times. It knows your weaknesses, it knows your strengths, and it will guide you into your nice comfort zone.
Yeah.
We have to reprogram our mind to get like a different vantage point, so then you know how to be in charge of yourself.
Yep.
Versus your mind being in charge of you.
Rule number 7, visit your place of discomfort.
No matter how far you get in life, you have to be able to go back to scratch in your mind at a moment's notice. You can never get so far beyond scratch. What that means is, when you accomplish something in life, if you want to go back to scratch and go back to that $7 a month place where I once lived and visit that place for a long period of time. If you were here when you went back to scratch, you would now be here. Scratch is what makes you better. Scratch, friction, obstacles create growth. There's no friction when you're this far up in the game anymore. You think there is.
When you've achieved,
that's
yeah.
right. When you achieve so much, the friction is minor. Because why? I'm sore, I'm gonna get a massage today. I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat today. The refrigerator is always full. So your comforts are now, so your discomfort is now very minuscule to your discomfort back here in the $7 a month place. So you have to go back to the total discomfort to then raise your level of where you're at now. I'm not saying stay there and stay there. Visit.
Visit it.
And then you raise your level.
Take a day trip.
That's right.
Yeah.
Always take day trips.
Yeah.
Rule number 8, love the challenges.
Who I was this nobody guy. And I created this Goggins. And that Goggins, there's David Goggins and there's Goggins. David Goggins is a calm, cool guy that sits back. Used to be a, weak kid. Now he's just a normal guy. Goggins is a guy that is willing to tape up his legs to go after it. In that book, you read about David Goggins and also Goggins. What I realized in my life is that Goggins is who I love. Goggins is who I created. My dad created David Goggins. I created Goggins. So what's happened with me, and since Can't Hurt Me came out, and since I got on social media, which is why I don't like social media, which is why I'm not on there very much, which is why I give people one time, I have to do me. I have to do me. So people get it twisted, man. I am who I am.
Yeah.
What's in that book is me.
Yeah.
So now what they see is this guy who's trying to get people to get off their ass. That just happened to happen, man. I didn't set out. When I set out to be a SEAL and set out to go to Ranger School and all this other shit I did and break records, I didn't set out to please.
Right.
I didn't set out to say, hey, pay me now. I got a great story. That. And I realize now that my life has kind of gotten to a point where people know me, I have followers and whatnot. The biggest depression of my life is you get caught up into helping so many people out, and it's great, and I love that, but you lose yourself in all of that shit.
Truth.
It literally, and people go, man, but my God, like you're changing. I get all that shit, man. But what the is motivating you in that book? What's motivating you is the stories I'm telling you about what I did in my life. Once I stop living that, I'm no more.
Yes.
I am not the that you are now being motivated from. So right now in the mirror, I now got back to Goggins. I'm now back to running 100 miles a week. I'm now back to getting the I saw, and I talk to my girl about all the time. You travel, you speak, you all this shit. It's all great and dandy for most people. I'm Goggins. What makes me is the dungeon. And people go, well, oh my God, like they're gonna hear this, my God, you don't have any peace in your life. Don't get it twisted. Weak people who hear me get all poopy pants about how I talk. So be it. What changed me was I had to be hard on myself.
Yep.
And I have to continue to grind myself into a fine dust.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
That's where I feel good. I think I accomplished something. If things come easy, it's not fun. I must fail at something repeatedly. It has to haunt me. And then once I complete it, I feel like I accomplished something. I don't want to set out and say, oh, there's an A, we're good. It's stupid. No, I want to turn it in 1,000,000 times and say you failed. You failed. And I'll say, okay, Roger that. And sit there and analyze what I'm doing wrong. Go to these places that people don't go to anymore because all this social media shit and everything's computerized. I want to go to that dark place in my mind and say, okay, how are we going to get this done?
Rule number 9, visualize.
We live in a world that's so busy and so active and moving so fast. Right now, I am sitting with Tom Ferry.
Yep.
My mind is sitting with Tom Ferry.
Yep.
It's not talking to Tom Ferry while thinking about, my God, I got to order some more books. I'm sold out of here. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. That's the first thing about visualization.
Yep.
You must make sure to silence out all the bullshit of life, which is very hard to do.
It is very hard.
Because your visual picture must be clear as shit. It has to be clear. It can't be like kind of in and out like a fuzzy TV. You got to see it. It has to become real. You got to take a snapshot of it 1,000,000 times, put in the bank. That snapshot of me was getting that 4,021 pull-up knocked out because the record was 4,020.
Yep.
I visualized that over and over and over again. I visualized what I was going to say because the guy's name was Stephen Highland.
I was thinking like what you're going to say to him.
What I was going to say to him
Yep.
on video when I finally got his ass.
Yep.
So I visualized success.
Uh-huh.
But then I went through, that's the fun part.
Yeah.
I have to do 4,020 pull-ups to get to that 4,021 pull-up.
Yep.
I know now, because it took me 3 chances to get it. All those failures, they were great for me to examine where I was f***ing up at along the way. So I take all that and I put in the bank as far as visualization. Okay, when I get to 2,500 pull-ups, my hands start to rip. Okay, I get ready for that. So I started visualizing, how am I gonna handle the pain? Okay, then you start visualizing, okay, my nutrition was off. You start visualizing all these things because you have to mimic it 1,000,000 times, but I can't mimic 4,020 pull-ups by doing it.
But you can see all the milestones where you failed.
That's right.
And see yourself going beyond it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that was my big thing about, I had to walk in, get the chalk, I had to see everything over and over and over again. And when I realized I had to keep that visual, that picture in my head for 17 hours. It took me 17 hours to break that record.
Yeah.
So for 17 hours, while I used to be loud everywhere I went, I put these headphones in.
Yep.
And I never listened to music, but I listened to one song, Going the Distance, for 17 hours. It's 2 minutes and 13 seconds.
Yeah.
For 17 hours, I had that in.
That's a lot of Rocky.
A lot of Rocky. And I just went here.
Yeah.
And so I was able to visualize every rep.
Yeah.
So I visualized my hand placement, making sure that felt right before I got going. I didn't ignore all the little pains. My hands got sweaty. Okay, that means I was aware of everything. That means my hand's about to rip. It's getting sweaty. Wipe it off. Be aware. Everything. I was totally in the moment because of how I visualized everything.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is don't lose perspective.
I have a good living now, for me, where I'm at in my life. I was out on a fire in Colorado, and we were digging fire line on this, like 50%, like it was like on the side of a daggone mountain.
Yeah.
And we're trying to keep the fire from moving, and we're digging this fire line 14 inches, or my fault, 18 inches wide, 3 miles long, 12 of us digging. And it is the hardest work. You make $12 an hour.
Wow.
Okay? Nothing. You set up your shop. Like when you're done digging, you just pretty much lay down, you go to sleep, and you get up and you dig some more.
Really?
This happens for 2 weeks long.
What are you digging? It's like a hole. You're digging a line.
So you're trying to get down to a mineral source. So you're trying to get down to the earth. So that if that fire is moving, it can't burn dirt.
Really?
So you're moving
Deep
fuels.
enough. Got it.
So not only are you digging, you're cutting down trees. It's hard work. But the moral of the story is I'm 43. Don't need to do it at all. This is why I do it.
You're making money. Yeah.
I'm making money. I have a good life. I don't need to do it. And everybody asks me why I do it. This is why. This 21-year-old kid was out there. And he wanted a pair of running shoes. That's all he wanted was a pair of running shoes. $60, $70, $100, whatever. You know, easy for us.
Yeah.
Hunting shoes. He looked up at the mountain that we had been on for days digging this fire line. And he said, that'd take me 5 or 6 hours of work to buy those shoes. He said, I'm not gonna buy them. It's the perspective of life. That perspective of life right there, that is the value that we lose. When things start to come so easy in life, it's the perspective that 21-year-old had. He looked up at that mountain and thought, he looked at his hands, he looked at the amount of hours of pulling that Pulaski, that tool, and raking that ground, and then cutting those trees and moving them, and that hours of work. He looked at his feet and said, these old shoes would do. It's that perspective in life that we lose. And that story to most people may not mean anything. It's that story I always want to have in my life. You cannot lose perspective of where you've come in life.
Now I have a special bonus clip from David on how to stay hard that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching a video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1. How will you be your own hero this week? Number 2, what's the self-talk that you need to start changing? And number 3, where do you need to reprogram your mind? And if you made it this far in a video and you are committed to making a change, I wanna celebrate you. Give me a hashtag believe down in the comments as well.
So today, I decided to try to PR my long run. So the first half of the run, I'm feeling great. My mind is clear, nothing going on. Think about nothing but just my running pace, what I'm doing, my breathing, everything like that. Get to mile 15, I turn around, and the demons start to creep in. That inevitable wall's creeping up on me. When you push so hard, something's about to give. And I start to give. My mind started to break down. I started feeling my legs starting to hurt. I started feeling dehydrated. Started feeling sorry for myself. Started looking around. No one knows I'm out here running. Why don't you go ahead and just stop? Call your girl, have her pick you up. And that's when I a little bitch. And this is when your mind has to change. You gotta start thinking, I'm the grittiest in the world. Your dehydration? It. Lick your lips. Your legs are all sore. You feel like you got splits and stress fractures? No, you don't. You got sore legs. Get out of your head and stay hard.
If you want to know how David Goggins ignores the haters, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.